Happy Friday, everyone. It's Daniel with VintageMagic.com, and I wanted to do a video today about probably one of the number one questions I receive on almost like a daily basis. And there's been comments in our other videos about, you got it, the reserve list. Yeah, the reserve list. What? Now, for those of you who don't know what the reserve list is, back when they printed Chronicles, you have to go back to this set. It's like a white border set where they have Legends, Antiquities, Arabian Nights, The Dark, just a range of cards. And they basically reprinted certain cards, and the value of these cards in the other sets went down. So Wizards decided to create this reserve list, essentially cards that they would not reprint in the future. And they've kept their word. I mean, throughout the years, people have worried and been concerned that Wizards would, basically break their word on reprinting like Black Lotus. Obviously one of the most valuable and powerful cards in the game. People were just afraid, to their entire collection. Are they going to reprint my Black Lotus? Are they going to reprint my Power 9, my Dual Lands? It's probably the number one ongoing debate. I think there's like Facebook groups saying, hey, let's abolish the reserve list. Let's eliminate this thing. I mean, there's been so much discussion. So look, this is probably going to be one of probably several videos in the future, but as of 2017, as it stands, this is kind of from my perspective what I think about this reserve list thing. Okay, so a couple things. One is you basically have two sides. You got three sides. One is the people that want to abolish it. Then you got the middle right here, and then you have the other side that, hey, I don't want to abolish it. And the thing what's going on here, it's all about the money, or it's all about the game, right? The players who want to abolished basically want to have access to these cards, and they believe that because if you abolished it, all the cards in general would fall in value and they'll have access to these cards. It's kind of like they just want to have access to all the cards, right? All these incredible cards, honestly, that were produced. But the other side is obviously there's players who on this side who really want to keep it as it is because they've invested a lot of money into the reserve list cards. They may have invested in multiples of them. I think some people even have 10 to even hundreds of certain cards. So it's basically kind of like you got people who want, it's basically about money. They want to basically get these cards cheaper. Now, here's the situation. If Wizards decided, I mean, everybody says this, but my professional opinion, they are not going to abolish the reserve list. And the reason why they cannot abolish the reserve list is because you're talking about a legal situation. And I'm not a lawyer, by the way. I have an engineering background, but I'm not a lawyer. But I've talked to lawyers and customers who are lawyers, and they're just, they're all over it. They're like, you cannot abolish this because of the very reason that you've already went public on it for so many years. You've restated and stated again and again, you're not going to do that. So you basically are lying to your customers. Well, obviously Eternal Masters was a lie in a way, but it wasn't an official lie. It was kind of a wraparound. But this particular list is like an ironclad, hey, look, we're not going to do that. And the reason why they didn't do that is to instill consumer confidence. Consumer confidence. That word is very interesting, isn't it? But the truth is, that's the one thing that Wizards has done, is they've kept the consumer confidence of the secondary market because of this reserve list. I do think that some of these cards on the reserve list are rather silly to have on there. It really is silly. But and I think with any kind of list or laws or such, you can revise them and update them for the modern times. So I would say that I wouldn't be surprised if Wizards took the reserve list and made an addendum to that, and really did a community outreach of what cards obviously will, that doesn't make any sense to, from a secondary market. And they probably talk to vendors, whatnot. That may happen. Another theory was also they'll produce, they can produce the same kind of card, but in a different color. So I mean, they've done that with certain cards, and that could happen. So be aware that that variation has occurred, but that isn't breaking the rules. It's not officially, the exact same card. So I don't have the exact definition of the reserve list, but what I will do is I will put a link of the reserve list, the current reserve list, in the bottom from Wizards, so you can go through that yourself. So back to this whole money thing, and that, if, like, let's say if they did it, let's just just say if they did keep the reserve list. So let's say they got rid of the reserve list, and theoretically, what would really occur? Now, okay, so as a major investor of buying these cards, and I collect, collectible cards too and such, I would say that there would definitely be an initial sell-off that would really be pretty big. But here's the interesting thing. I don't think, like, at a certain point, if you sell off your Power 9, okay, if people were just selling off Power 9, because you can go off buy new ones, I don't think that's really going to happen. Or like certain cards. And I'll tell you why. The word is nostalgia. Nostalgia, guys. Think about it this way. If you are an owner of Power 9, if you are a vendor of Power, you have Power 9 or Dual Lands or Chaos Orb, whatever, okay, reserve list card. And you went off, and they went off and decided to reprint that, okay, for some reason. But they, Chaos Orb, they can't use it anyway in other formats, but let's say they did it. It would be a different image, most likely. They probably would try to do, or if they did the same image, it would be a foil. But obviously, they would do different images because it would be cool. I mean, they would obviously want to do different takes of cards, and it would modernize the game, and that's fine. But there's that nostalgia of that image of that Chaos Orb, let's say, that people really are attracted to, and there's always going to be that image in their minds. The other thing is, believe it or not, like it or not, the print today actually is nothing like what the print was yesterday. The feel of the cards, the round corners of the alpha, and just the smell of the cards. To be dead honest with you, the new cards just feel cheap. Sorry, I mean that little hologram thing in the middle, mythics or whatever, cheap. It doesn't feel luxurious. It doesn't feel like vintage. That's the word, vintage magic. I mean, it doesn't feel like vintage magic. So you can reprint all of the Chaos Orbs or Black Lotuses in any form you want of the new paper quality, but it will never be the first edition or the second edition for beta or unlimited, for white border. It won't happen. So that goes to my point, is that do you really think that people are going to sell their Power 9 and flood the market just because Wizards decides to reprint the Power 9? No. Hell no. I'm serious. Ask any major collector or dealer. Are you going to sell your Power 9 on eBay and just blast the market because of fear of that? Why would you? Because here's the trick. Here's the beauty of it. At a certain price point, if they go down and people get fear, vendors and buyers and collectors all over the world will just literally buy out all the Power 9 as much as they can, the original print. And here's the reason why, and this is the case in point, is that Magic the Gathering for the older stuff, the old school stuff, have become collectible grail into some people's eyes. That's right. Some people, they grade these cards, they buy play sets, they buy signed cards, they alter these cards, they pimp them out, they do whatever. You are talking about a collectible now that is a historical phenomenon. It's the pop culture of our lives, essentially, of our generation. And it's going to be a generation for a very long time, because in the world of gaming, Magic the Gathering is the elite of the elite, right? It is the most challenging game, in my opinion. It's the most replay value is insane. It's not cheeseball honestly, like Hearthstone. Sorry, but it's not a cheese ball like that. It has so much interactions. It brings so much camaraderie to the community. It is amazing. And it has also the artist. Look at this. This is the Ashen Rider by Chris Ron. It's a new art, but look at this freaking piece. It is absolutely incredible, the art. You know, it can be like vintage like this Fallen Empire's Floodplain by Rob Alexander. But you don't get that with digital games or art or, you know, whatever, Diablo 50, whatever. I mean, Final Fantasy 15 or and above. You will not get that with that. So my whole point is the art alone makes it very special. Okay, so look, you guys can write the comments below. You guys can debate this all day long, but this is my opinion. These are my thoughts. Another thing, you know, because I'm gonna be brief on this video because we gotta, you know, obviously there's a lot to discuss about. But another thing that I want to really point out here is that, you know, yes, certain cards, if you reprinted them because they have a lot of player value and they're on the reserve list, would definitely, you know, definitely be affected. For example, like Moat, for example. Like Moat is a card that is in Legends. It's a white card, and basically, it's, you know, it ranges about, you know, $300 to $500 plus or minus. If Wizards reprinted that card, okay, what happen to that card? Well, I'll just tell you right off the bat, they'll probably do another image of the Moat, which they did for Magic Online, by the way, and it would basically the value of the Moat would go down slightly because it is used for play, for newer, you know, for decks, you know. So, you know, and I think, you know, like Commander players, there's a lot of cards that they buy into that are expensive just because of the fact that they're reserve list cards, and they're expensive for that. So, but I don't think people understand that you're talking about Moat $300 to $500, okay? If it goes down to like $200, you know, let's say it goes down to for some reason, all right? How many buyers in the world would just step up to the plate and just buy everything? I mean, they would just buy everything. What would you rather have, honestly? What would you rather have? Would you rather have the reprinted Moat of new art foil, which, by the way, they could reprint in like an Eternal Masters or Commander set, whatever the hell they want, right? Over and over and over again. Now, let's be clear. Legends wasn't like the most smallest printed set. I think it was like 40 or 100 million cards total. But it's nothing compared to the new sets. I mean, I think it's like 100,000, like maybe like I think it's like 40 or 50,000 rares in Legends each. If you want to like do a fact check, please help me. But I mean, who cares what it is? It's nothing like the millions of rares and mythics in the world for the newer sets. And that's exactly the whole point, is that the rarity alone would be, the finite amount is so low of even like the mint copies, because a lot of them were played or thrown away or whatnot. I mean, it wouldn't really change, it would change the value a little bit in the beginning. And for some of them, it would drastically hit, and then they would go back up because collectors would gobble that up all night long. So would the dealers. So I don't think people understand that the value of the cards are actually associated for the older cards, for the older print cards, is because of collectors and because of investors. Investors see it as, oh, you know, what's driving the value of these cards? It's nostalgia, guys. So let's imagine something. I'll leave you guys with this. If you guys just go far into the future, think about this very carefully. You know, if you're in like 30 years from now, 50 years from now, I might be dead. My children might, you know, be doing this business. I don't know. Okay, 100 years from now. And if Magic, you know, you assume that Magic will be still that top-notch game that's evolved to have their movies and multiple things they've done, action figures, whatever, right? And things they do are just, you know, like they've done incredible things with their game. Do you really think that these historical items of the first generation, we'll just call them like Transformers, like 1984 Transformers. The first generation is like those old school cards. Do you really think those cards are just gonna plummet because, let's say, they reprinted it and they got abolished the reserve list? I'm here to tell you right off the bat, my thought process is if they abolish the reserve list, it would actually open the door further for people to play the game and play new, older formats. But they have to do it in a way where they allow people to play the older formats and they actually spend the money to advertise, have coverage on it of the older formats. It would grow the game. It would grow the game because while, yeah, it's expensive, a standard is what moves their needle. If you have older formats, you keep the players playing until they're, till they pass away. You engage with them throughout the career of their Magic career, you're going to have a lot more success in selling product, and there's a community that grows together. So anyway, put your comments below. I'm just, this is a huge topic. I'm not going to ramble anymore about it, but I want to hear what you guys think. Is it bad? Is it good? And I'll rebuttal some more stuff later on. Thanks again, and you guys have a good weekend.